All right. Welcome to Brand Royale numero
Dos. What are we doing this week?
All right. This week. So we've been talking a lot about SaaS software and kind of what we've been, SaaS software as a company.
Of course. Yeah.
As a service.
We use software every day.
Which is kind of what the field we're into now. And some of the tools we use on the daily are communication tools.
Yeah.
And we wanted to kind of analyze two of the prominent communication tools that are happening right now and seeing how their brands differentiate and how they cover totally different market segments. The two tools are going to be Slack and Discord.
Ooh.
So Slack and Discord, very interesting because they're very similar tools. Even in their UI, the way you use them, they're very similar. But they serve kind of different functions for different target audiences. So it's going to be interesting to get into it.
Yeah, the audiences kind of started off so separate, right? Like Slack is just strictly business. I don't think any gamers really were using it. Or they don't really even use it today, right? Because this Discord just dominates that industry. But now Discord is starting to get into the business side.
Let's look at the market. Let's look at the market slide. That's kind of what you're talking about. So we have business and we wrote community just because like Discord really is, they sell themselves as a community building tool. They started to become really famous with gamers, but nowadays even on their website they're talking about like, hey, you want to create a sports team? Like this is the place for you and your friends and your teammates to talk. And you can do a lot more things and they're very like more community driven. Whereas Slack, you're right, is more business enterprise like solutions.
It's interesting that Slack seems to be copying more of Discord's features now.
Yeah, because they're trying to get into the video and voice with like the huddles and all that kind of stuff. And that's also why our second axis here is messaging versus video and voice. I think Slack and like the Microsoft Teams, which we had included in here, for some reason it's not here, but those are way more messaging based. Most of the time people will like just type and send messages to their teammates. Whereas if you look at Discord, a lot of it happens in video or voice rooms, right? So like they get into chats and they start talking. And that's a very different interaction. And surprisingly, the designs of the tools feel very similar for two different ways of interacting with a product. But we can actually get into the brand first and look at the brands. I mean, it's pretty interesting, right? We talked about two different target audiences, two different markets, but there's a lot of similarities in some ways.
But this also has to be like the biggest differentiator too, right? Like, because the product is so similar.
Yeah. It has to be. They rely heavily on the brand. So, and this is where it gets interesting. I think Discord uses... I'm not sure how the colors come out, but if we'll link the brand guideline for both of these companies, that you can see for yourself. But the brand colors in Discord are way more lively, a lot brighter. Obviously, they're looking at gamers and like kind of that younger generation, so they're using a lot of neon colors, a lot of colors that pop, a lot of digital brights. Whereas Slack is like their main color is this eggplant type color that's a little bit more like...
Feels like wisdom or
we're mature, we're elegant and
a little refined. It's a little royal. It reminds me of like the royal purple.
Exactly. And that goes down to typography as well. If you look at Discord's typography, very friendly, very fun, very kind of like...
It's kind of funky.
Yeah, kind of funky. It's got weird edges. And when you see it in action on their ads and stuff, it feels really much more like fun and interactive.
Yeah, it's got like a personality. It bounces. I mean, Slack is it's clean, but it has a little bit of a friendly vibes to it still. But they're definitely like making sure that they're not that same funky feel that Discord has.
Exactly. Yeah. And it's interesting as well. I mean, they're obviously more serious, more business. It's interesting to see that they even have a font called Slack Circular that I'm guessing they designed specifically for themselves, but it looks very similar to their Larset, like other font that they're using.
Yeah, it's very geometric.
It's like if you were going to design a unique font, I would think you'd go quite different. I guess sometimes
they're so expensive.
Yeah, exactly. I guess sometimes like the classics kind of work, right? Some of the more classical moves. Typography will work.
I used to use Gotham for everything. It was like people used to make fun of me for it.
I feel like designers. So either they go through a Helvetica, Futura, kind of like over time.
Eventually, you just want to find a font that the client will approve.
Pretty much. Everybody's like, this is kind of weird, and this is the feedback we get.
Yeah.
Interesting other note I would say is their colors that they're vibing out are very similar. Like they have like a bright blue, they have a green, they have a
the secondary colors.
The secondary colors are quite similar. So
you notice that more and more in these bigger brands. I think that like as they have different departments or the more of a need to like classify certain things within their brand, they need those differentiating colors. You know,
for sure.
We try to play around with that sometimes.
Yeah, you need it.
It's dangerous though, because like you inevitably start looking more and more like Google. because they kind of own that primary look, with that logo that they had
wheel
before.
And stuff they use quite a bit for sure.
Which is another really controversial identity system. Have you seen that one with all the colors? That's another podcast, but we'll definitely have to jump into that one
for sure. Let's look really quickly at the brand guidelines. I think it's interesting to dive a little bit in there. Both Slack and Discord have their brand guidelines online.
Yeah.
That you can download and look at. Slack's is again they make it kind of friendly though. They're like, hey, hello. They're using emojis. They have some really cool graphics.
Super human with the hello.
Like 3D. And they cover it's pretty fascinating. They use these to cover obviously their brand vision, their brand mission, all the way to their brand identity and how to use them.
It's really interesting, like how for tech companies it's so important and like top of mind for them to come across as like human.
Yeah,
I guess because they have to go against that bias that like tech companies are really not in it for people, or it's not strategically designed around human needs but more revenue.
Yeah. And things we like to talk about obviously are brand playbooks, and this is a really great example.
Wow,
though it's very PDF, and I can get that logo out of there if I ever wanted to. But anyways, most of the things here are interesting. The way they talk about their logo.
Slack. If you want a digital version of this, hit us up.
Digital.
It's very robust though.
Yeah, I mean they have a lot of stuff in here. I'm going to scroll through it really quick because otherwise this can get...
you gotta love the illustrations, right?
Yeah, they do a good job balancing it out to make it human. I think they use that a lot really quickly to humanize a lot of their things.
There's the imagery. I was about to say. Yeah.
They go to photography, video, they have guidelines for that, and then governance. Really cool. Kind of still pretty serious, I think, but like kind of fun as well. Like they play with these fun shapes and colors. And okay, let's take a look. These are questions, and then Discord also has their guy. Right away, they hit you with a font and like boom. Hey, this is what we're about. And it's like we're kind of funky and fun.
Was this after Dropbox did their whole rebrand?
This is pretty recent. I think this was pretty recent. Yeah. This new Discord one.
I mean, I remember when Dropbox first dropped their style guide and they used that fat font. I mean, the system was pretty impressive in itself, but it was very jarring. And then like the design community was so polarized on it.
It's cool, the Clyde icon too. It's kind of fun, the Discord controller, and the way they've humanized it with the GIFs and stuff. They make it rotate and they animated it. A lot of animation nowadays for sure. That comes in, you can see it right
expressions, facial expressions on the logo.
Does all these things, which is brilliant. I think there's way more storytelling in Discord's brand, and I think that's one reason, and we're going to get into it as we go through these slides. But one reason I think Discord is successful with their community, they have huge engagement on social media versus Slack, and obviously one of them is gamer based, so they're all about sharing and doing these type of things. The other one is more business, so it's less sexy to share. But I think in terms of like good lessons in branding, I think Discord kills the game in terms of being able to engage with community and create fun like content for their users.
Do they talk about the story behind the logo at all?
Yeah.
Like the Discord is a controller, right? That's what I'm thinking.
Yeah. So this is the controller. Yeah. I mean, this is a redesign of what they had before, which was, I think, another controller. This is kind of what they did. So
beautiful. This is the agency, Kodo Studio. Agencies, Props to Kodo. Good work, guys. Yeah, this is sick.
So you can see what they did here. Kind of fun, just like an intro to their character. It kind of sells you into the brand. It makes you buy into it a little bit. It makes it relatable, the friendly face. And they have a lot of cool stuff. They started making cool swag and little things.
That's cool. Yeah.
And these are brand assets created by the agency. I don't know if all these swag items and things actually exist, but cool visualization of what this could be like from D&D to just you and me. So they're trying to make it also like, hey, you don't have to just do group chats here. You can talk one-on-one. Like
power of copy, huh? You're starting to see that more and more. Just huge, bold statements by brands.
Exactly. And then Slacks was done by Pentagram. And so obviously Pentagram, one of the biggest agencies in the world.
Juggernauts. You never get fired for going to Pentagram.
They kind of got a lot of crap for this one. There's a lot of funny memes out there about these being little ducks kind of following each other. And like,
is that the story?
A lot of funny things.
This is a hashtag. Without knowing. Oh, it's a hashtag. So okay, I didn't get that at all.
The original Slack logo was a hashtag.
Okay.
I don't know if they showed the history of the logo here. It was kind of more like this one on the top, on the left right here.
Oh, I remember
They did variations, and these were some of the variations that they offered. And I guess they went with the one that was more about these little ducks kind of following each other here.
These are the iterations that Pentagram went through.
Exactly.
Huh. Oof. Some of those are rough. But I guess that's the part of the design process, right?
Yeah.
You got to make some duds to
Exactly.
to find the golden dud.
They probably had a wall plastered with 100 logos done by interns and other designers.
Oh
there.
man, I remember those days.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, the struggle is real.
But a lot more serious again about, I think, their approach even. I think it's, I guess, very much pentagram, but they use bright colors to communicate, to like show the different conversations and things that happen.
Oh, the chat bubbles.
Yeah, they're chat bubbles. That's what the whole logo is.
That
makes
makes
these
sense.
chat bubbles.
Yeah.
And they're talking about like how different people, different colors and
diverse
stuff.
Chat, yeah.
And talk
Collaborate.
about it.
That's pretty with the graphic on the side there. Pentagram always does a really good job of showing like how the system beyond the logo applies. You know,
yeah. I think that's huge. And I think they did a good job at Kodo as well, like to show kind of these ads. Obviously, all these are fake in Photoshop. Probably, but it's kind of cool how.
That's a good example of a system. You know, an entire system.
Easy wins. Make a 3D pin and like show it as an Instagram post. Like they do a lot of simple, clever things. Let's go back to the deck real quickly. I want to talk about a little bit of their product. Obviously, we mentioned really quickly that the products are quite similar, almost identical.
Yeah, we use them both.
You could remove the branding here and you wouldn't know which one is which, really. But it's interesting. It is interesting that one thing that stands out for me, at least in Discord, is the use of a lot more emojis and emotes and things that are kind of moving and active. So it makes Discord almost a lot to bear visually. There's a lot of things happening all the time. Yeah, but still kind of like very similar to Slack.
Yeah, it's hard to compare, man. I use both of the softwares, and I couldn't tell you what are like the biggest differentiators, especially now that Slack has copied some of Discord's features, and I'm sure the vice versa has happened as well. But from the left column to column, like the interactions are almost identical. Yeah. You really, if you know one of them, you don't have to learn the other.
It's kind of a trend, right? In UI design, I think. There's a whole law principle about it where it's like you have to kind of give people what they already know.
Oh yeah,
otherwise the adoption rate is hard.
It's hard enough to get them on the platform.
Yeah, exactly. They learn a whole new way of operating. So yeah, that's definitely an interesting one. I wonder.
It's interesting. We do pay for Slack though here at the office. Like we pay a significant. It's not cheap.
No, and we use it. I mean, it's very, very useful. I think for what we do and like how much data you can transfer through it, how you can easily talk and have. It's a bit easier to use, I think, than Discord. But Discord is kind of killing it. Like they're doing a lot of interesting moves that are making Slack kind of copy them or scratch their heads a little bit.
I kind of want to get our team on Discord just to save a buck.
Try.
Yeah, it's like I think Slack's equivalent of like buying everybody a Netflix subscription for the month or something.
I mean, dude, Slack got bought by Salesforce, right? So it's like,
they're gonna get that money. Yeah, they're gonna get that money.
Let's look at their website. You know what? Let's move to their website. Their website's really interesting. Obviously, we talked about the product. We know the product looks very similar. It's got a lot of similar functions. And now you look at the website, and this is how storytelling kind of its finest, right? How different these two are from. One of them is really very business. It's like, hey, we're going to sell you. We're going to prove who we are right away. Let's slap some big logos in the front. And it's like, hey, this is for work. Like, we're here to prove ourselves. And Discord is like, here's some goblins and like, somebody's as a apple head down there. What is going on here?
Yeah.
But cool, like
the metaverse or something.
Metaverse. You come in there and it's like, hey, this is a place where you can be anybody you want and this is fun, you know?
Yeah.
We can take a look at their website really quickly. Let's see. Where is this is Slack.
I didn't even know Salesforce bought Slack. When did that happen?
Yeah, I think so, right?
Did that happen? Can we get that verified back there?
I just want to double check. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah. That's huge.
For I don't know how many billions.
Yeah.
So
you got the U.S. Department of Veteran
Affairs on there.
I don't know how technologically advanced they are. No offense to the government, but
well, they're using Slack, so hopefully that's making their life a little bit better. But you can see Slack is straight to the point. When they're just straight selling. Obviously, these websites have gone through thousands of iterations.
And beautiful optimizations.
But it's really interesting that they know their target. They're just like, hey, talk to sales, either pay enterprise or launch Slack and try it right now. Like they're just like, this is kind of what we offer you.
Yeah.
Whereas if you go to Discord, it's like, hey, they make you dream. Imagine a place. And then and this is where they position themselves very differently, right? You belong to a school club or a gaming group or a worldwide art community. And they're trying to like paint the picture of what the possibilities are on Discord.
Imagine a place.
So they make you they make you think more and imagine more than Slack. Slack is more like, this is what we are, launch, talk to sales, and let's get started. Whereas here it's like, okay, let's talk about what you could do and who you could be here. It's kind of cool. A lot of beautiful illustrations.
It's interesting. It's almost like you're like Discord, you're experiencing it from the home. So you want to be spoken to that way.
Yeah.
And like Slack, you're probably in a more work environment, like you're trying to talk to sales, and then you're kind of spoken to in an appropriate manner.
Would it look unprofessional to almost pull up Discord if you're in a professional enterprise setting?
Yeah,
you're on Wall Street and you're using.
It's
Discord.
Like busting out a gaming laptop.
It's a little. It does feel a little bit like that. So I wonder if Discord has ever in their mind the idea of going more enterprise, and we'll see how that turns out.
Do they have an enterprise version of their website? I'd be curious to see if it kind of mirrors what Slack looks like.
No, not that.
Yeah,
I don't think so.
Huh. But, okay, so they don't have any business.
Yeah.
Try Googling Discord business, not to distract us. Discord for business.
Yeah.
Barely pushing. So they're not pushing it at all. They're like, this is our lane. We're going gaming.
We're going to look at some numbers later, and it'll be interesting to see.
Yeah.
To see that, because Slack is obviously killing it in their valuation and how much revenue they're making.
Yeah.
Their profit margins are insane, and that's because they're mostly enterprise and business. Well, they're trying to get mostly enterprise and business.
Yeah, that's where the money is. It'd be tricky to see
But Discord has more daily users than Slack.
Yeah. But completely free.
Yeah, completely free as well.
Yeah.
So let's take a look really quickly. That's kind of where we go to the popularity of the software, right? We're talking about this. We're talking about this. It's tough to make Slack sexy, right? So this is kind of what happens when you're on Twitter and you have how many followers? 461,000 followers.
Yeah.
It's not bad, I guess. Yeah, actually, that's pretty good for Slack. I wonder how much. What do they talk about here? Let's see. Yeah, they do some interviews. They do a bunch of stuff. And then Discord. Let's see, 3.9 million.
So Slack basically has all their employees following, and then Discord has an entire community.
It's a community, and you gotta also I think Discord is much younger. They joined in 2015. I think the company was formed around that time.
What does their content look like on there? I mean, it's pretty. 5 years ago, I thought they would show more community, gamers or something.
Let's see.
But it would be interesting to see if people that are using Discord are a lot more sensitive to the features that are coming out. If you're using Discord, you probably get a lot more excited about the features because they affect your entertainment, your fun, the way you game with your friends and stuff like that.
Yeah. Versus
and new features comes out for Slack and you're you can hang out with your coworkers a little bit more. It's slightly less enticing.
but that's the power of branding and their marketing. Obviously, this is where you see from all the way from their identity all the way to this Twitter. They manage to build a community through what they look like, what they sound like, how they interact with their community. Slack is having a bit of a harder time, but if you look at the end of the day, what matters to businesses like this and Wall Street and stuff like that, it's going to be the big numbers, right? For example, where
let's look at these numbers.
But daily users, 14 million. Obviously, Discord is kind of killing it on this. They did have a drop in users from year to year, and then all of a sudden they're back up. But their revenue, Slack is just killing it. That's year on year. 2019, 401 million. Whereas, it's crazy. It's different game almost. But the community building aspect of things is what's interesting. The storytelling and the brand aspect. Discord's brand is built quite differently than Slack's, and it kind of shows in terms of what we just see here.
And that's pretty significant. If you're talking about 4 million, so they're 140% of what Slack is. Yeah. Now the revenue is less, but if you're an app like that, a pretty simple app, is $130 million enough? Would you prefer to have the additional significant users? No.
I mean, this is where Slack is going enterprise and business, right? And they're really just that's where they make a lot.
Yeah, the lifetime value of their users are for sure worth more.
Yeah, but
you can. It could be interesting how Discord can just win from a branding perspective just by garnering brand recognition just by the amount of daily users that they have, and it start to seep into business.
Yeah, and then they go from home to the office almost easy.
Yeah. Super good transition. Yeah. The people that are typically recommending this type of software are probably like Discord type users. Like most IT people are into gaming and stuff like that, and they're gonna want to stay in that ecosystem. It's interesting. It's kind of like Apple computers and going into like education.
Yeah, there's definitely going to be more than one way for Discord to attack this market. It's going to be interesting to see what they do in the next few years. Obviously, one of them is private, the other one is public, so there's also less pressure from various areas.
Oh, Discord is public and Slack is private with Salesforce.
No, Discord is public.
Discord
is private. Sorry, Discord is private, and I think Slack. Slack IP.
Yeah,
really.
That might allow them to make like bigger, risky moves.
Yeah. So really interesting. Let's go back. I think we wanted to wrap up a little bit with some of their like we looked at these on the agency side, but a little bit of how they presented themselves in the physical world.
Yeah,
that's also always interesting. We talk about these digital brands, right? They're only interacting with people through a digital screen. Yeah. So a lot of them are trying to make it out into the physical world, because if your brand is represented in the physical world and you cross in the street, you see it somewhere, like it has that buying power.
Yeah.
And this is more interesting. Like this is where Discord also kills it. Their shop is like full of like cool hype, like young kind of gear and swag for gamers and kids. Probably a lot more people buying into that brand. Whereas Slack, their shop has 2 items. 2 items.
Yeah. I mean, that kind of makes sense, I guess.
Nobody wants to rock a Slack thing, I guess, or a Slack thing. But then that's where the power of brand is. Like Discord is not selling you just their logo; they're selling you like a story,
an entire community. Like I'm part of the Discord.
Yeah, you're part of that
Find
brand,
me on Discord.
They're making it cool. They could have made a very lame gaming app as well.
Yeah,
like it wouldn't have been cool. But like they brand it and they like dive into that world and make it kind of fun and desirable. Oof. How do you make a Slack desirable? I guess there's a lot of companies that are like more enterprise, more legit, that have made products desirable.
Yeah, but it's really tricky, right? Like Apple computers might be the best example because they're still technically enterprise, but like they've always kind of like gravitated towards the creator, like the creative, like freedom, like the rebel, and they like stayed cool because they're like, oh, we're a PC like enterprise company, but we're at least not PC. We're not like Microsoft. We're cool.
We should really dive into enterprise brands, like mostly enterprise brands that that managed to make it sexy and desirable, that managed to build a community around it.
Yeah.
It'd be interesting to dive into this in an episode, but
that's tricky, huh? Because like even like Supreme, as they got bigger, like they start to lose that cool factor.
Supreme is a street style brand, though.
Yeah,
I'm talking more like Slack is selling like to enterprise business, like mostly
like
work
IBM
business.
versus
how do you make it? IBM is a good example, actually.
They're like, we got Watson, we're cool.
well, actually, enterprise, but they are one of the most like, if you're a designer, you kind of look up to IBM and some of the work they do. Like their graphic design is impeccable,
super clean. Paul Rand logo,
incredible. Like they've hired some of the most incredible graphic designers to work with them and design logos. Like
their booth at South by Southwest too, man, is so sick. It's so beautiful how like the graphical language they painted across the entire building. It's really, really gorgeous.
Cool.
They're not messing around.
We should definitely dive into it. We should definitely dive into another episode.
Yeah, we should go to South by just to do like a critique of all the different brands.
That'd be fun.
And see how
we can do some live episodes for the community here. All right, final words on this Brand Royale Discord versus Slack. What do we think? To wrap it up?
Woof.
We don't have. I mean, for me, Discord kills the brand game and the community game, and I think because of the type of product they are, it's definitely they need it. This is how they stay alive, right? They're not making that much money, but they stay alive through their community and their 14 million plus active users daily. You know, that's how they keep it alive. And for that, you have to build that community. How do you build that community? Through things that you can share, things that you can wear together, things that are like kind of fun and that you can like eventually collect. I'm sure as Discord is building their hype game, right? Like this is kind of the big techniques that a lot of like hype growth is kind of all about, but they're doing a pretty good job about it. Whereas Slack, enterprise route, more business, more serious, more straight to the point. I think with their brand design. Yeah,
mature, a little bit less risky, but like, you know, I'm gonna give the Discord just because like I think that by connecting closer to the customer, like growing that community out. It's just such a powerful tool. If they can continue to do that, continue to refine their brand, you can almost argue that like Slack has got that pentagram look. Yeah. You know? So from a branding perspective, they look extremely mature. But Discord has like almost the chaotic personality that the world can actually relate to a little bit better. So as they
see in the font, it's like playful and it's all over the place a little bit, even though it's organized. Makes it.
Slack might have to be careful of like the businesses being kind of the middleman between them and the consumer.
Yeah.
And then whereas like Discord goes straight to the kids, you know.
Yeah. And the kids grow up to be the adults that eventually
exactly. Yeah.
Slack.
They eventually switch over. We have some younger people in the office that has been asking us to switch to Discord. And then I don't know if there's a really strong reason besides the fact that we've used Slack so long that our channels have like integrations and stuff like that.
I mean, the biggest selling point is Slack has 2,000 plus app that you can add
integration.
It's one of the best integrated tools ever. And so compared to Discord that has like I think like 200 plus, and they're all like kind of self-made apps, part of the ecosystem. Slack is just that tool that allows you to get shit done. And it's a bit different. So until Discord gets to that level, if they want to in that sense of the features, like I don't think it's gonna happen. But
for sure,
how does Slack? It's interesting. Both have to learn from each other, right?
They
Discord
do.
is gonna have to learn how to grow their revenue and become serious a little bit in that sense, and then Slack needs to maybe learn how to communicate, like maybe relate to their community. How do you do that through your brand and through the messages that you put out there and stuff?
Oof, the next 2 years are gonna be interesting for these two. We should check in 2 years and just see how they did.
We'll do a comeback kid episode, see what happens, see how these brands compare.
My guess is like 2 years, Discord's gonna like double their users, and then like their revenue is gonna start to creep up on Slack, and then Slack's gonna have to start taking it seriously to like develop like a free product or something.
There's more out there. Slack is going to start fighting against Microsoft Teams and things. I mean, they are fighting against.
That's happening right now.
All right, Brand Royale, another week.
Good stuff.
Another fun comparison. We'll see what happens next week. To be honest, we don't know. Let's see. Let's see where the conversation leads us next week. Thanks for tuning in. If you have any comments or any suggestions for a future Brand Royale episode, please
let us know. We're excited. We'll keep these going. Get better and better.
See what happens. And if you guys want to see other parts of the brands and more analysis and more deep dive details on some sections, just tell us what you think. Brand Royale.
Thank you guys. Talk to you soon. Bye.